Hi, it's Chris from 70sbig.com, and I am here at Acupuncture for Athletes with Ellee Carlson, licensed acupuncturist, and she is the owner and operator of Acupuncture for Athletes. And I am here because she's going to be doing some acupuncture on my back and also some cupping, and she's going to be describing basically what cupping and acupuncture does and the importance of it.
All right, here lies the back of Chris Riley, NAPF champion. Now Chris is in training for USAPL Nationals, and he has been battling some lower back tightness that had interfered with his training, so we just want to make sure that he stays out of pain, and then we can release some of those tight muscles that have been aggravating him lately. So I'm just beginning by palpating his back, and I would be asking him for feedback, finding out what is most tender for him, and just palpating for some tight bands throughout his low back. How are you feeling, Chris?
Great.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do before we apply any sort of needles, now Chris is a veteran, he's been getting acupuncture for years, so I don't have to talk him through this, but for you guys at home, the first thing we're going to do is just swab this area with some alcohol just to disinfect it before we use any sort of needles. So we're just going to go ahead and wipe this area on both sides. Make sure it's nice and clean. So this right here is just a plastic guide tube. So we go ahead and take the unused needle, put it into the guide tube, and we're just going to tap it in just a little bit to get past the surface of the skin. And now most of the pain fibers are on just like the surface. So once you break through that, then you're going to go ahead and insert the needle to depth. So you want to get it into that muscle layer, so you can get those muscles to go ahead and release. So I'm palpating here to feel his vertebrae, and we're going to go just lateral to that, about midpoint between the medial border of his scapula and his spine. We're just going to go ahead and anchor that guide tube in there, and then with one tap, we're already past the surface. Now Chris has a lot of tissue here. He has a lot of muscle built up. So needles are a little bit larger for him, but if somebody were more slight and had a smaller frame, then we of course would be using smaller needles for that. So let me just go ahead and bring that in. And how are you doing, Chris?
I'm okay. I feel it.
Okay, so we're just going for that dull, achy feeling. So that is just one needle, and then if he were to be having that tightness throughout the rest of his low back, then we could go ahead and put some more needles and line them up in the area that we are wanting to release. Now here we have the fully needled final product. As you can see, I've lined up 4 needles on either side of his back. Now this is great at releasing those tight muscles. And actually, if you insert the needle at the point of the muscle with the least amount of electrical resistance, it will cause the muscle to suddenly contract and then release. So it essentially is resetting that tight muscle. And if you approach opposing muscle groups, you can release tightened muscles as well as return elongated muscles to their original state. It also increases blood flow to the area and reduces pain. Recent medical tests have linked acupuncture needles to the release of the compound adenosine, which is found to be an anti-inflammatory as well as a pain reducer. Another technique that acupuncturists use is called cupping. And what I've done here is I use some liniment on Chris's back to make sure that we have a nice slippery surface. And then here is a cup. It's basically a glass ball with a hole in the bottom, and what I'm going to do is light this cotton ball on fire, insert it in the cup, and it'll create a vacuum. So instead of using massage, which uses compression to break up those muscular adhesions, we're actually going to use suction. So here we have the fire. I'm just going to insert, and there we have a suction. And we'll do one on this side. And you could either do stationary cupping while you leave the cups in one place for a while, or you can do sliding cupping, and now we have this nice slick surface. we can just go ahead and run that up and down that tight area. And he'll probably actually have some marks for this, but as long as he drinks plenty of water, stays hydrated, keeps the area protected, can really help to release those tight muscle bundles.